Hey guys, welcome to the Cold Brewed Truth. I'm Stephanie Murphy.
I'm ℂ𝕠𝕤𝕕.
And welcome to this week's episode.
The Cold Brewed Truth.
This week's title,
I know, what was you chatting about?
we decided to go on, you're either the victor or the victim of your mind. We've had a lot of conversations around choices and mental mindset and all sorts of fun things, and
Yeah.
we live in a very interesting time where we talk about this. Like, we just had a conversation.
I've had this
Last week.
conversation with multiple people, and I wasn't even seeking these conversations out. These were just everyday conversations that came up, and they were all very similar about our society
Yeah.
and our younger. I guess it's not just the younger generation. There are older generations too that it's plagued a little bit, but it's like, well, why aren't you moving your feet? What are you doing with yourself over here? All these people just seem to have problems, and
Which we all have problems. This is like what's funny about this.
right.
Like, we all have them.
We all, as human beings, have a problem. Yes, we all like eat, sleep, breathe, and poop. We get that. That's like an
We
everyday.
do? I thought girls didn't do that.
I mean, I
Just
don't poop. My son is still thoroughly convinced that I do not do that.
Really?
Oh, convinced.
Oh man, my
Poop
kids
or
are,
fart.
they know,
Don't do it.
they know better.
Don't do it. Mom's never, yep,
That's funny.
I know. One of these days he's gonna be really confused. But.
First girlfriend, wait, what?
He poops.
Anyways, we're not talking about poop for real, but.
That's not what we were talking about. No, I was talking about this with another longtime friend about our country and the mindset of like, they wanted somebody else's stuff. The grass is greener over there.
Right.
Why do they have all of that stuff? And I've worked way harder my whole life than they have, and they have it. I want it too. I sound like Veruca off of, the candy one, Willy Wonka.
Yeah, oh yeah, that.
Veruca Salt, but I want it too, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember what that
But
was.
like, the generations are so lost, they don't even know where to start or where to begin or what to do.
And I think that, like, here's the thing about this, and this is why, like, the title is what it is, because it all goes back to your mindset. And I absolutely have been guilty of this before, where I have allowed life to beat me to a point where, like, I just want to give up mentally, because I'm like, dude, I'm so over this. Like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm exhausted. I want to, like, retire early, blah, 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 all these things. And then, I know. But then I've caught myself in that mindset and thinking to myself, like, I literally am so young still. Like, I have so much more life to give and live that it's like, am I really gonna allow myself to be the victim of my own mindset of defeating me and thinking like I'm exhausted? No, that all boils back down to choices, in my opinion. Like, can depression play a role? 100%. Do people have different medical, conditions or ailments? Absolutely.
We all
Like,
have obstacles, and all of our obstacles
Yeah.
look different.
Yes.
I think that's how we tackle those obstacles.
It 100% goes back to how you tackle things. And some people, this is where my, like, self-realization came in, is that we're fortunate, I feel like, but not necessarily are we fortunate, like, because we've chosen this path, but, like, some people just don't even know any better and know how to break out of those cycles, where I myself personally, and I know you have as well, like, we've taken different courses that push us and push our minds to think outside of the box and allowing ourselves to get super uncomfortable in order to create space for new habits, new things to come into play.
Yeah.
And that's not something that, like, just, comes naturally. Like, it goes back to, like I said, getting uncomfortable, and you're forcing yourself to do the uncomfortable things. You're forcing yourself to do the hard things because you fully have learned or fully believe that by doing that, you're going to see something good from it. And it's easy to get stuck in that mindset, like I said, and I've fallen victim of my own mindset too at times, where I just want to give up. And I am so thankful and appreciative that, like, there's something that's hardwired in me, I guess, and maybe that goes back to being like childhood athletes, like we've talked about before, like where I just also knew too, like you push through that pain, like we were just talking about the bathroom, like
Right.
working out.
You have to be, well, I think part of our conversation too, it wasn't just about like pushing through, working out, like Stephanie's been taking her sister and I'm like, yay, good job, she's doing so great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is she sore yet? And then I was like, it always comes down to that for like, there's two types of people. There's the person that's gonna work out and they're gonna be sore and they're gonna go, this fucking sucks, I ain't going back tomorrow because these bad boys hurt. And then there's, on the flip side, the other people that are like, wow, my muscles hurt, like that's progress, that's growth, that's a good thing, I'm gonna go tomorrow and then like maybe do an extra one just because like they're already sore, yay me.
Yeah.
Also, we were talking about like not being bitter
Mm-hmm.
and sticking to like your values in life and making sure like even though even if you're out of that victim mindset and you are moving, make sure that the direction you're moving is in the direction that represents you best.
Yes.
And not being bitter, especially with like Valentine's coming up. We were talking about like, are we celebrating Valentine's? It's one of those turnish holidays that you're like either all about it and once again you're not about it sort of thing. And
I could care less,
you
honestly.
you gotta have a little like enjoyment in life.
Yes. She's a better person than I am sometimes.
I don't know. I just like being a nice person.
And I do too. I just, I would be one that I guess has probably been tarnished by that particular holiday. And not like I was ever tarnished by it, but I just think that like
There's better days
expectations
you can have.
of like everything being all geared around one day. I've just never believed that you should focus so much energy on one day when you should be focusing that much energy all the time. Like, but I guess, okay, yeah, whatever, like take a day, acknowledge those even a little bit more, I guess, because in human nature we do forget. I don't even know how Valentine's Day ever even became a holiday, to be honest, like.
I don't know, I'd have to look up the history.
Yeah, I don't know that one either, but.
So like, how are all you guys motivating this younger generation to get up and get moving and to kind of take a stance on their life? I know I have family members that are on that age group, they're young adults or like entering adulthood, and getting these individuals motivated to want to like do something with their life, and they're so scared. They're scared to be like socially outcasted, or they're scared to leave home because they might not have any place that safe and comfortable, or it's not that safe and comfortable sometimes. I don't know. We were just kind of wondering. We're like, you can't push them. You can't make them do anything. They don't want to.
It's like they just have no sense of direction. Like they just, their answers are so like, I don't know. And there's like so many things that you can throw out there for ideas of like, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And it's like, yeah, but I don't know. I'm like, I just remember being younger, like as soon as I was ready to graduate, I was like so excited because I was like, dude, the world is my oyster and I can go try whatever and be whatever, and I wasn't ever limited to doing one thing at a time. I still don't do just one thing at a time, like, and I don't know where that got lost, I guess, in my opinion, it kind of goes back to that mindset of like, very childlike mindset in the sense of like.
Have you seen the social media videos? And it's like these parents that are around our age group and they're like, when I was 15, my parents would have never found me pass out in the field with 3 empty beer cans and like a crashed car. And then it goes back to like what their 15-year-old's doing nowadays. Nowadays, my 15-year-old is still in their Snuggie in their bed and has been there for the last 36 hours and hasn't moved. And I'm like,
okay, I have to say, I think the conversation we had earlier with our managing broker, who is older, there was a point to what he was saying. And
with social media,
device, not even just social media, your phone in general, because not all kids have social media, but it's like, it's so easy to sit on here and be distracted, and it's like almost that comfort, like they're afraid to like
Well, our
look up.
our
You know what I
question
mean?
was, our question about the social media was because we were having a class at work that if we wanted to take it was about learning social media and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And from two people who like, we don't really like social media at all.
Mhm.
However, we do understand the benefits that it offers you, business wise and for your growth. So we see the positives, but anyways, we asked him, we were like, so what do you think of social media? He's like, I've never had it. And so my question was like, is it important for us younger people to have it? And he's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it ever.
Oh.
I was looking at it from a work standpoint, like I need it to grow my business. And he was looking at it as more of like a long-term
Social.
for humanity
Yeah.
sake. Absolutely not. Social media is the demise.
Of a lot of things. Motivation, mindset.
But it still is so helpful though.
It so is, but that goes back to like, how do you utilize it?
You have to use it as a tool, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe that's why we see it as tools, because we didn't have it through our childhood. So then when we did get it, we were like, wow, this is a tool. But
so many
those people already had it, so they're not valuing that tool that they already have in their toolbox.
I don't even know necessarily what the age range or group would be, but basically there's definitely an age or a point where it's like they don't know any different. Like that's all that they do know. They grew up with a phone or with some sort of an electronic device that was like readily available on their hand. Like I look at a lot of kids from different parents.
So they're not
From a
valuing
very
the
young
tool.
age, they're given some sort of like iPad or whatever. Oh, here, let this be your entertainment. Where we were not raised that way because it didn't even exist when we were kids. Like,
It wasn't an option. It
It
wasn't
wasn't.
a yes
It
or no.
like, I mean, they barely came out with internet when I was in, middle school, basically. So,
Wait,
aging myself right
This
now.
is the most funny thing. I live in the woods and my internet's pretty rough. Like some days it's slower. And my husband called the company the other day and was like, listen, my internet's so slow, it's not keeping up. He was trying to do like work stuff on his laptop, not keeping up. So he called and they were like, well, there's this secret tech device that military was using. You can go on Amazon and basically you plug it into your outlet and it runs through the copper wiring in your house, and you hook it up, hardwire it to your modem. So you're hardwiring your modem to your outlets in your home so that your internet's basically functioning off the copper inside of your house. And I was like, that's going backwards. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, that's literally old school. Like, that's like plugging it in. I was like, wait, so we're going backwards and it's this amazing new technology? But it's literally they're utilizing the copper inside your home to broaden off of your modems to each room. And I was like, theoretically makes sense. However, this is literally the same
Going
concept
backwards.
of what we've been using.
That's so funny.
And it
actually.
makes me giggle because it goes back to knowing and understanding the tools that you have.
Mm-hmm. And reverting back almost to kind of that old school way or mindset.
We had
if you will.
dial-up. That's where we were going. It's like, yeah, we had internet, but it was dial-up. It's slow as fuck, and you couldn't be on the phone line. So and then so that was, we told Jackson, we're like, yeah, you used to not be able to use your phone if someone was on the internet. And let me tell you, when you have older sisters that have boyfriends.
Oh, I know.
And Jackson was like, what do you mean you couldn't be on the phone? And I was like, yeah.
You can only have one phone call at a time, and it was stuck to the wall, kid.
Same
with
line.
a cord.
Yeah. We showed him Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh boy.
And Napoleon Dynamite has a long ass cord on their phone in there. He's like, look how long that cord is. He's in the other room.
Yeah,
And
we
I
used
was
to have
like,
to do that.
Yeah. And it would be great if you unplugged those cords on your
Oh
sisters.
man, the fights that we used to get into. as
We used to have
kids.
multiple phones. We had a phone in the basement too.
Same.
And so we could listen in the
Oh yeah.
conversation.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have one of those clear phones that had like all of the rainbow colors inside of it?
No,
like,
my
so you
mom
could see
didn't
the
let us have a
internals?
phone one. But I always wanted one of those.
I don't remember how or why we had one, but we did.
Because you had fun parents.
I guess. I did have really fun parents growing up, actually, like super fun parents. I'm
Mhm.
thankful for that. They were strict parents, but they were super fun.
I think being a strict parent was good.
Totally, yeah. Like
Mhm.
the boundaries and the different mindsets of like all that taught as well. Like
Right.
it taught to respect like hard work and taught to like learn to appreciate working for the things that you had, like, which I think also goes back to like where at some point that disconnection happened with people, like
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
It is very disconnect. I don't know how we're gonna get back on track too, to get them in the right mindset.
Well, even like,
Something big is gonna have to happen in our country, I think, for them to feel that shake, you know, for them to be shook up enough.
a war,
I know,
probably.
but could you imagine this generation who cannot even get a driver's license or have the
Dear
motivation
God,
to get
help
a
us.
driver's license? Like, these kids don't have the motivation to get a driver's license, they don't have the motivation to get a job. If they don't know how to pass a driving test, how the fuck are they gonna go to war and defend us and know how to do that?
My brain is thinking all of the
They
inappropriate memes.
physically are not fit enough to run a mile.
I know. Do you know how sad that is? Like,
Physical wise, let's not even talk about the mental, let's talk about the physical aspect.
but that goes back to our conversation with your friend, who I've now say is my friend, even though I still have never met her, but like,
Oh, yeah.
going to the other countries, like, I don't know that this is like as big of a deal in other countries as it is in America, and that's
No,
really
I
sad
haven't
to
really-
say.
yeah.
Like, we live in a very entitled country, which I'm proud to be an American, and I love that you have so many freedoms here, but also in the very same flip side of that coin, like, a lot of the very freedoms that we have fought for are very
They've
much
ruined us.
well, they've ruined us in this sense, but they're also going back to where it's not even really freedom anymore. Like,
By the way, yeah, we were talking about freedom of speech the other day, about how you cannot even go onto your own pages, your own area, like you cannot go onto your own platforms, even if they're for you, and say anything because, well, then you're
you
now
might be offending
somebody. It's like, well, cool. Oh, that's what it was. Our managing broker earlier, the older generation gentleman who was like, yeah, it's the worst thing. He was like, I don't even understand how you can be bullied on social media. How are you getting bullied on social media? He was like, literally turn it off.
Yeah.
You have a way to get away from social media. Yes, your name is on there. Yes, he's like, that's always been a thing, like hearsay, people talking, writing letters. Yeah, it was a slower form of communication, but like, how are you being bullied? You can turn it off and get away from it. And
Yeah,
so-
I agree. I mean, like, obviously, like, bullying does exist. It happens in real life constantly, and there's abuse and
Absolutely.
of like power in certain situations. But like, he had a very good
Turn
point.
off the phone.
Yeah,
Turn
or don't
off
go.
the TV.
Don't go
on
search
social
it.
media.
Don't seek it out. Don't, like, if you know that there's something that's out there that you
Like
might find
shooting yourself
offensive,
in the
like,
foot.
I mean, like you said, go
It's like,
turn
it's
the
literally
don't
like, you
read
know
it.
if you know it's on there and you know what's happening, why pull the trigger? You're literally pulling the trigger for yourself, and that goes back to like the victim or the victor.
Yeah.
Like, if you know the gun's loaded, why do it anyways?
I don't know.
I don't
It is.
know
It's
either.
very interesting for sure. But yeah, and I
That
don't
ties
know.
all back into like the mindset of addiction too, though. Like, same concept with addicts. Like, why do
they can't help themselves.
They can't, and it goes back to addiction with the social media, I guess.
Yeah. Which is kind of what we were talking about with how social media is really hard. Like, it's funny because we utilize social media, like we said, as a tool. We fully understand and know full well what it is that we're doing and what our intent is. But ours is used.
It does not consume my brain.
Not even in my sleep do I even care. Like, oh, cool, that went out there. And like the stuff that I feel like we're trying to create and the stuff that we're putting out there is truly for the benefit, or what our goal is
If
to
it's not
benefit other
benefiting
people.
you, at least it's benefiting us in our own
That was my
lives
chair.
and mental stability, and we hope it helps other people.
But I know that it
But-
does help other people, and I know that you know
That's
this
true.
too, because we've had so many people that will approach us and be
That's
like,
true.
oh my gosh, like, I love what you guys are doing. Oh my gosh, I love what it is that you're sharing. Like, keep going. And so it's amazing to see the positive ripple effect that can happen just by sharing and being very vulnerable
Yeah.
and being very honest with people and allowing, you know, our different
But I don't
life.
poop.
Yes, you do. Just kidding. Don't let your son listen to that.
I don't let my son listen to any of these.
I know my kids don't listen to these, which is why I think it's funny. Like, obviously we know that. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to, but it's like,
Do kids listen to podcasts these days? Please let me know if the younger generation is actually into podcasts or not.
I feel like no, because I know
Is that an older person thing?
old, like, I would say probably like out of high school maybe is when they start to, because other than that, kids are always listening to music. You know what I mean? Like that's, I mean, or at least that's what my
Music
kids
has
do.
been a thing. Yeah, my nieces are like that. They really love music.
Hmm. And I think that a podcast would be probably for the kids that are a little bit more mature maybe.
They're probably in the victor mindset. They're not in the victim mindset.
Yeah, and not even that the kids are necessarily in a victim mindset at the kids' age. I think they're just off in their own childlike,
That's true.
you know, mindset. But then you have those kids that are very much so, like I know, like I had in high school, you had some kids that were so extremely advanced in, like, you know, like they were taking running start and different college courses, and they were really excelling themselves on an educational, you know, basis, which again goes back to that victor. It's like they understand that there's something more out there than what their generation or what their peers can offer them, and so they're seeking something to push themselves. They're making space in
Do
their
you think
cup to
that
fill
group
it up.
of people has just gotten smaller?
Heck yeah, it has.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, it's gotten way smaller, I feel like, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Did
which
you
makes
know
sense, I guess. but,
these
like,
kids too, their GPAs, okay, when I went to high school, I don't even know what GPA you could have to graduate. The level of standards that these kids
Oh.
are having to meet in their academic life, and like the amount of pressure that isn't there. And I know that teachers, like, their presence of pressure is completely gone, and they can't reward, maybe it's because they can't reward the good job, I don't know, but like, I just remember GPAs even when I was in high school, and I didn't grow up in the greatest of areas, like, that was still something to
An
strive
interest,
for,
yeah.
that was still like a topic, that was still like a thing, like, what is your, like, do kids even know what their GPAs are anymore?
I know my kids do.
Are they big on it?
They were. My oldest in particular, he was, but like, then once he realized
It's not, as in,
it's
yeah.
not really that important necessarily, and for him, he just is like, cool, I wanna go get out in the work field and go make money, like, that's what he's focused on, where my daughter, she's still younger,
But
and,
they
you know,
want him, he wants to move his feet, he wants to do
oh
something.
yeah, he so wants to move his feet,
That's
which
good.
is really
Motivation
good.
is
And
good.
don't get me wrong, like, he has a really good GPA and he does get really good grades, and it's almost, I mean, similarly, like, I know for me personally, like, I had a good GPA, but then, again, I kinda lost that focus, like I've talked about before. But I still graduated with a decent GPA, but I just wasn't applying myself as much academically because I was applying myself,
Ditto.
you know, in
Ditto.
sports and in work and all the other things, and at that point I was like, cool, whatever, I can pass this, like, I mean, if I got a C, I was like rock solid basically my junior, senior year, because I was like, cool, it's more than a passing grade, like, it's not failing, but it's also, I'm trying, but I
Yeah.
didn't try my hardest, and that's probably, you know, not a great thing to admit, but it's also the reality of it, like, I wanted to apply more energy and effort towards things that I felt mattered more, and for me, school, like, going from being homeschooled for 6 years and also like attending a private school to then going into the public school, I was like, this is a freaking joke, like, I just realized it was, you're literally there because of government infrastructure and
Yes.
indoctrination, or however you wanna call it, I don't even know, but I realized, like, this is not even useful, I'm literally, like, I have to take this because it's a credit that is gonna get me to graduate, like, okay, can I take a class that's actually beneficial, like, can I do something that's gonna help me with my future, like, and I was
Right.
used to that from going to a homeschool co-op, where it's like, I took a culinary school, like, they had all sorts of different funds, like, different
Things.
classes that you could
Mhm.
take that were actually applicable to life, and like, you know, canning, sewing, like, all sorts of things that would be
Mhm.
helpful as you
Yeah.
become an adult, like, now, I don't even know that they offer full home ec, I know they kinda do, cause my
I
kids
don't
have
even
taken
know
that,
what
but,
home ec would consist of anymore.
yeah, I don't really know either, but I
Like
do know,
sewing and,
no, at least they are teaching kids like how to bake cakes and stuff, I guess, which is good, like, but, I mean, I don't know, why
like,
don't we have like
America
a
needs more
finance,
baked cakes.
I know, we need to have like more finance classes, like, honestly, and how to build credit, and what,
How
like,
to-
filing taxes looks like, and,
How to take care of ourselves.
yeah, like, I mean, have a PE class that actually teaches you fitness and nutrition and the importance behind it, not just like, oh, here's your pyramids, like, whatever.
The food pyramid is bullshit, by the way.
I know, it really seriously is.
Like, I don't know who made that, but the food pyramid is a scheme.
But I think, like, to tie it all together, truly, like, again, you do not have to stay in the same mindset or even in the same working pattern that so many of us oftentimes get into. Like, it goes back to expanding your mind and being willing to go learn something new and emptying out small portions of your cup that no longer serve you and creating space for you to get uncomfortable in the process of learning something new that's going to help benefit you for your future.
Ooh, the question of like, what do you actually want your life to look like?
Yeah.
Is a big one, and it's such a simple question to where like people are like, what do you want your life to look like? Well, it's such an easy question, but like, really, what do you want your life to look like? And when you start answering, cool, I want my life to look like this. Like, I want a big house, or if you want a family, or if you want to be career-based, like, you know what you really want in life. Like, people do know. Like,
Go back
it's
to
not
playing the
that
game of
it's-
MASH. Remember when we used to when we were kids?
oh, and then you had to count. Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna end up with like 7 kids and like in a shack. Right? It was a shack.
One kid and a farm. Good job.
I don't remember.
But
But
yeah,
yeah.
like writing those things down, like, well, what do you want to do for work? Like, what do you see yourself like?
And then once you have your answers, like, this is what I want, cool, like,
Go after
how
it.
do you get that? How do you get that? How do you make that? And it's funny because we were talking to a few people last week. We're like, well, what do you want? And one of the things was like, well, I don't know. I really just kind of want to be like a housewife. Cool, to be a housewife, you need a husband. Where are you going to find your husband
Right.
at? Like, you can't find it working at home. Like, where are we going to go to find the husband?
Mhm.
Are we going to find the husband at the bar? No, I don't drink. Okay, so are we going to find the husband at the gym? Do you work out a lot? No, I don't really like workout. Okay, so like, where do you go? Like, what are your interests to find that husband? Like, there's so many things. If you are career based, like, cool, what kind of job do you want? How
Or-
are you gonna get there? It
Yeah,
doesn't
like-
have to do with just money, because like,
I want to become like a welder. Like, I know that that's like,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of kids are wanting to get into the trades. Okay, well, how do you go about that? Like, and I can assure you, going and talking to your school counselor is not going to help you, because
they're gonna tell you go to college.
no, not only do they tell you to go to college, but oftentimes, like, they're like, my son is a prime example of this. Like, he knew he wanted to go do like the skill center program. That was the plan all along. So he was like, "Okay, cool, second semester," and then he goes to talk to her to get it set up. Well, no, you can't do that. It's a year-long program. And he's like, "Dude, like, I've literally been meeting with you like month after month after month, and never once did they mention you can't do it halfway through the year." So he missed out on an entire year of opportunity because of
Now we know what he's doing next year.
misguided. Yeah, but it goes back to like, and I mean, us as parents, like, we're not really encouraged to go in and help your kids at that high school level, which is so weird to me. Like, I still very much so want to be involved, but like, the school wants the kids to figure it out, and I'm like, but you're not helping them.
You have to guide them.
So,
Guidance is it.
yeah, deep
Well-
breaths.
Deep breaths.
But going back to your mindset of figuring out, like, and mapping it out, like, write it down. Like, what do you want your life to look like? Because if it doesn't look like what you want it to right now, what would it take to get it to where you want?
What do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just be realistic with, you know, the proper steps to get there. And if that's not something you're good at, then
Well,
reach out to
and
us. Like, we help
understanding-
you do that. Like,
Right? That's literally like the roadmap process that we're creating.
yes.
I think too, people knowing that everyone has obstacles. Everyone's gonna have big things that they have to overcome. You're not alone in that fact. And so that victim mindset of like, yeah, but I have to do this. Yeah, but I have to do that. Everybody has something they have to do.
We all.
You're not alone. And so building that roadmap is just gonna look a little different for you versus somebody else's roadmap.
It gives you your checklist or to-do list for your day.
Which is the
basically.
greatest part of life, is because everybody's roadmap is gonna look a little bit different.
Yep, but you gotta write something down and give yourself something to work towards. And don't get down on yourself if you don't get it right the first time, because I don't really know many people that do get it right the first
No,
time.
and you just have to be willing to do something, like
Yes.
anything, just do something.
Move your feet, try it.
Move your feet. Is that all we had to say this week?
I think so.
Okay, that was it, our rant about victims in our country.
Don't be one, go be a victor. We need
Be
more
a victor,
victors.
yeah, we need a victor. And not Victor like I went to school with you in middle grade, Victor, and you were a mean boy kind of
That's so
Victor.
funny that you said that, because I went to school with,
Was he mean? The Victor I went to school with was mean, little boy.
I mean, he wasn't mean, he was the very good looking, like, I don't even know what nationality he was. No, but he was very,
Quiet?
no, he was loud, and he was the popular kid, and he was good looking, and all the girls loved him, but then once, we got a little bit older, then he kinda turned into that player, I guess, kind of. So he lost his mojo, in my opinion.
Mojo.
But anyways, okay, go be a victor of your mind, and go try something new, don't be afraid to,
Move your feet.
yeah. Okay, until next week, Cold Brew Truth, thanks for joining us.
See ya.
Bye.